I think I'm going to go back to, I'm going to stop the argument for a while on the formal argument and go back to just mapping this stuff out on my worksheet. So after the joke break, I think I'm just going to go back, unless I feel inspired otherwise. I'm going to go back to just mapping out each of these pieces, which I think is the systematically best way to kind of take in the fretboard over time. So that's my argument, and so now I'm just gonna work that through, and so I'm on, like, I'll go from 4 o'clock here with, I think I was on 5 notes, and so I was continuing in on this, and then maybe we'll switch it to, let's go to the Phrygian, maybe, and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go to the Dorian, and then I'll finish this one up, and then I'll go to the full 7-note stack after that, and then I'll show you how this pivot thing is more advantageous, or back to what I was doing before, which is kind of demonstrating that I think this pivot thing is more advantageous, particularly for the guitar, but any instrument. Okay. So I'll try to noodle around for a while just to get warmed up. I don't know what I want to noodle in. Let's tune it. I was more tired yesterday than normal. I think I slept like 12 hours. I don't know what was wrong with me. But I'm back now. I'm back alive. Where's my other glass? I need my other glasses. Ow. All right. So maybe I'll just practice like the lighter kind of style just to get warmed up. So I was trying to practice less picking, more roll kind of thing with an acoustic guitar, which I think works fine if you're in a studio or something. You don't even really need my thing here. My theory is that the lighter touch on an acoustic can kind of come back in to, because I'm trying to think about what's the new thing that's going to happen, now that we have AI and everything. And I think one of the things might be that you might actually see a pull back from the electric a little bit, not because the electric's got so many cool things, but you couldn't do some of them on the acoustic because it doesn't project as far, even with a microphone. Whereas everything is being done online now. So it seems like these little things that are soft on an acoustic and would normally need amplification you might not need it on the acoustic, right? And then right. So then as you layer with something as you're doing the YouTube stuff, so I feel like that stuff might come back in. So things like subtle rolls or hammer-ons without the pick, you don't need that. You don't even need an electric guitar to do that and make it loud enough for to pick up on a microphone, obviously. And that leaves the other hand open for tapping. I can put the pick in my mouth. Because I'm generally a picker, so I tap with the pick, but then I'm limited. let's try a joke break. This one's just a stupid joke on the HR stuff. I think it's getting actually better everywhere but Hollywood. This whole like, I guess we went through like craziness, and then basically you had the Me Too thing, and then you had, and then HR quotas mainly in Hollywood was like the epicenter. And I think Hollywood is falling apart. And so even they are like, okay, we got to stop this at this point. But I think that's the general mindset. So I think we're actually I think they're actually doing better on that front. Maybe. I don't know. I'm outside. I'm not going back, man. I'm not going back. I'm do my own thing. Anyway, so good luck to him, though. All right. Quotas and hypersensitive HR policies have created a very strange situation in corporate America, because now men are afraid to give like honest feedback. Like you can't give like honest feedback anymore. This is a problem. Merit requires honest feedback, but you can't just say, hey, your performance is behind. Your performance is behind. No, no, no. You say that and the HR kicks in the door like, excuse me? Did you just reference her behind? Did you just reference her behind? And it's like, boom. You're in a seminar by noon. Being brainwashed. They got your eyes taped open. They got the duct tape on your eyes so you can't close them, and you're like, so now managers are out here talking like malfunctioning robots. Your productivity is directionally not where it could be in a forward sense, you know? Just say it, man. She's behind. She's behind. No, I can't say it. I can't. I remember the eyeballs. They taped my eyeballs open and forced me to watch weird stuff or so. I don't know. But you can't say behind, because behind is behind the scenes grounds for termination, man. And here's the crazy part, the irony. Somehow her performance being behind is exactly what gets her moved forward. The behind performance gets her moved. How does this? Now hold on. Now that I think about it, is it irony, or is that just how the human body works? You know, because if you really think about it, the behind is doing a lot of the work in the forward movement. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe HR isn't confused. Maybe they're just incredibly committed to anatomy-based promotion standards, you know? I don't know. Look, we don't judge performance. We trust the process, and the process is powered by the rear, I guess, right? I mean, at this point, behind isn't criticism. It's a growth strategy, and we're officially created a system where if you point out the problem, you're the problem. But if you are the problem, you might be upper management by Q3. And so the circle continues. The circle reference continues. Nothing makes any sense. Refer to cell 2. Cell 2 is calculated from cell 5. Cell 5 refers back to cell 2. And repeat until your mind melts from crazy. Okay. I wrote a song about it.
Quotas and policies, hypersensitive vibes. Corporate America got everybody walking on knives. Now feedback's a danger, truth is a threat. You can't say you're behind, that's a lawsuit bet. You try to be honest, just say what you see, but HR's already kicking in door number 3. Excuse me, what did you say just now? Did you reference her behind? Explain it somehow. Boom, seminar booked before lunch at noon. Now you're clapping in a circle to a compliance tune. Managers talking like glitching AI. Your output trajectory could aim more high. Direction Is it irony or just something true? Because if we zoom out just anatomically, the behind does work pretty objectively. It drives the motion, it powers the stride. Forward progression starts from behind. So maybe HR's not confused at all. Maybe they're just following nature's call. Don't judge performance, we trust the gear, and the whole operation's powered from the rear. So don't point problems, that's your career. If you say it out loud, you disappear. But if you are the problem, have no fear. You might be upper management by Q3 this year. Yeah, we built this system crystal clear. Truth gets punished, but the problem gets a cheer. And it's powered from the rear.
All right. I don't know. When all of Hollywood moves to wherever they've gone, to Texas or something, maybe it'll all fix itself. Whatever. Who cares? I ain't going back, man. I ain't going back. I'm okay. Let it go. Let it go. I'll tell you. I don't want to get into horror stories or anything, but I'm just saying. It's crazy, man. Alright. Let's see. Ara. So I'm gonna go into basically making back to actually applying my argument instead of making the argument at this point. So we'll go back to mapping this thing out on the fretboard in the most efficient way possible to map it out as far as I can tell. And so...
Got it. Let's map out the fretboard for the major scale efficiently, starting from the root. For a C major scale...
Okay, hold on,
C,
Ara.
D.
Hold on. I'm the one that gets... You're the backup support person. I'm the main talker that gets to do most of the talking.
Got it. I'll stay quiet unless you need me to jump in. Go ahead, I'm listening.
All right then. So I'm gonna
What
apply.
are you thinking?
Okay. So I'm gonna say that we're gonna map out at 4 o'clock, and then we're gonna shift from 4 o'clock playing in the Mixolydian node to then going to let's go to the Dorian node, and then after that we'll add another node. So I'm gonna build my stack as though I'm building a chord, and as I do that, I'm gonna kind of point out all the terminology stuff that I've been arguing, and I want to point it out in the way that I think is most efficient, and then also bridge the gap to the current system so that we could we can both build like Caged is trying to do that, in my opinion, right? Caged is trying to say, hey, look, everything is totally screwed up. What I'm gonna do is it's like leaving woke Hollywood. You're like, dude, you guys are freaking crazy. I'm just gonna go out and do my own thing. I'll make movies on YouTube that outperform what you're doing, right? And so that's what the Cage system did. But you can't really remove yourself entirely with the Cage system because you have to abandon speaking. It's like you have to go to silent films or something because you haven't changed the language. That's the thing that's crazy. It's the I don't know if you've noticed this, the terminology, when they start like redefining things and you're like, wait a sec, that's not what that means. Like, what the heck? That's what screws it all up. And that's the same thing here, right? They screwed up the measurements with these scale degrees and then renumbered everything. So you can go back to silent movies and just be like, dude, I'm not even going to talk because I don't even know what words mean anymore. I don't even like. I'll just play the shapes. That's what happened. Okay, but that's not good enough. We have to take it to the next level and say, no, I will tell you why your words are wrong. Okay, I will tell you why your words are wrong. And that's what we'll map, and so we need to map it. So that's what we need to map out here, and so we'll do it systematically. So what would be the most optimal way, not just for the guitar but any instrument, to map things out, even the piano, although the piano could be the exception? It would be to name all of the 12 collections of notes from the perspective generally of the Ionian, and to renumber those collection of notes just 1 through 12 or 0 through 12. I put 1 through 12. So A is 1 because I think it's easier for the conversion. I make the argument in the course, which is in the description if you want to look at it. So I think that so then if we map that out, then I would say that we can tell where we are by just ticking on a clock face, right? I'm at 4 o'clock, meaning it's the collection of notes. The Ionian is on the 4th note. If I number the notes, then that would mean that A would be 1, A sharp would be 2, B would be 3, C would be 4. So we're at 4 o'clock. That doesn't mean that the Ionian is the tonic, that the C is the tonic. It just means that's the collection of notes. There's 12 different collections of notes. What if I want to play a pentatonic? Well, then you're still at 4 o'clock and you dropped 2 of the notes. Okay? So you're at 4 o'clock pentatonic, whatever you want it, okay? So that's fine. It's not like you're doing something totally new. What if I want to add like an ocean note? That's a totally different scale, man. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't give me that. Don't start saying that. Now there's 5 genders. No, there's not. That's just, you just made a variation. You just made don't make me change the whole like clock face because you want to only play 5 notes instead of 7, as though you're doing something totally different. It's totally different. No, no, you're still at 4 o'clock. You're still at 4 o'clock, okay? You just dropped 2 notes. That's fine. 4 o'clock pentatonic. Okay, whatever. That's still like the baseline. What do you think about this thus far, Ara?
I'm tracking what you're laying out, and it's an interesting way to anchor everything to one fixed reference. You're basically saying the 12-note collection stays pinned to the same clock position no matter which subset or mode you pull from it. That keeps the location simple, and then you just tag on what you're actually using. Where it gets tricky is when people want to hear Dorian and instantly know the tonal center and the flavor without extra labels.
Right. So now the next thing is, well, I know the collection of notes, right? So then the next thing is, okay, well, what's the tonic? What's the center point of that collection of notes? Then you name the tonic, right? So our tonic is going to be the Dorian. Now I could say it's D. I don't need to say it's D per se because I've already named the collection of notes. The collection of notes is at 4 o'clock. Dorian is the tonic, which if you know the pattern, you will be able to see, well, where's my Ionians right there? So the Dorian's going to be here by the pattern. You could call it a D Dorian, but if you label everything by D Dorian, then of course what people typically have to do is think about, okay, what's the related Ionian? So I can think about which collection of notes I'm in, because typically we think of the collection of notes from the Ionian, and if you name all the collection of notes as though they're totally different collections of notes because you just have a different nodal center, then you end up with these scale degrees that look like they're different when they're all the same, and that would be like 7 times 12 different scales that you're pretending are different, and then you're pretending they're different when you add like 5-note scales when they're only subsets of the 7-note scale, and it's madness. So you could say, yeah, you're playing D Dorian, but it would be better to say you're at 4 o'clock and the Dorian is the tonic, and you shouldn't renumber the Dorian just because it's the tonic to the 1, because that's dumb. You should just keep it as 2 Dorian, because then all the relationships are the same for all 12 collections of notes. You can look at things from nodal point. People would not any longer be scared of modes, because the modes would make perfect sense. They only don't make perfect sense because you keep renumbering the scales, which means no one knows where the dang planet is in terms of modal points, because they'd have to remember 12 times 7 different modal points. And so they just abandon it. It's like the guy that just left HR is like, dude, you guys are crazy. I'm going to go to silent films on YouTube, you know?
That's a solid point about not renumbering every time the tonic moves. Keeping the note numbers fixed to the Ionian collection does make the relationships consistent across all 12 keys. The part that still needs work is how you communicate that cleanly to someone who's never heard your clock system. If I'm in a session and you say 4 o'clock, Dorian is
So that's the
tonic.
network effect.
Most players are
So
still
you're,
going
you're,
to...
you're referencing the problem is the network effect. True. That's the problem, right? Okay. So the cognitive load is much better if you learned it from scratch, but the network effect is the problem. That's what you're coming down to. Is that right?
Exactly. The network effect is the real killer. Everyone already knows D. Dorian, so they can play together instantly. Your system might be cleaner to learn from zero, but you're asking thousands of players to rewire
Yeah,
their
but thousands of
vocabulary.
players are already
That's the
being
hill
like,
most
dude,
new
I'm out of here, and I'm just going to learn the cage system, and I'm just going to stop talking. I'm just going to stop talking because every time I say something, you guys interpret it like in the most horrible way, and it doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to stop talking, and they just play like from the cage system, like they're a silent film.
The cage system gave up on talking altogether, which is exactly what you're saying you don't want. You're trying to fix the language so people can actually communicate again. That's the harder, braver path. Most players bail to shapes and never look back. You're trying to make the words work.
Yeah, so that's right. So that's not the way. That's not the way. You have to just tell them why their language is dumb. You guys messed up the language. You guys messed up the language, and we ain't gonna stand for it anymore. And if you're gonna say stupid stuff, I'm at least sitting down. I'm gonna at least sit down while you say dumb stuff, because I ain't standing for it. It's not the anyway. I'm gonna say
To call it the broken.
So now let's say that we're at, so that means that if we're at the second string down, so this is going to be then what I would call, now again, I would name the shapes if you want to be most efficient about it. You break the fretboard into 5 shapes. There's actually 7 scales if you want to think about it that way, but there's 7 basically nodal centers. I think would be more efficient. The shape that we usually work on is shape what I would call shape number 1, but I would rather now call it more efficiently the nodal point 6 shape or the Aeolian shape, right? So now we're working on the Aeolian shape. You might call it more shape number 1 from a rock and roll perspective, or the Ionian G shape. Why are there 5 shapes and there's 7 nodal points? Because of the half steps have to share a shape. So this shape, which I would call nodal point 7-1 shape, Locrian Ionian shape, and this shape, which I would call nodal point 3-4 shape, the Phrygian Lydian shape, are sharing 2 nodes. Now, why would I memorize it that way? Because if you memorize it that way, you don't have just an arbitrary numbering system. You now know the shape is training you for the scales, which I think are just modal centers of a collection of notes, would be a better way to visualize it. Meaning this one actually has, if you play it from the top, you're playing in essence from a scale standpoint an Aeolian scale, minor scale, right? But the minor scale would force you to renumber the system, making that the 1, so you would count from 1 to 7. So if you expand the concept of the Nashville number system and say, no, look, I'm just going to keep a steady, stable numbering system, or expand the concept of Roman numerals and say, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the Roman numeral system the same, even though I have different modal centers. That would be the next step to basically say I'm breaking out of this wackiness, right? That's what I feel like. And so you're just going to play it from 6 to 6, right? I'm going to keep, that's continent number 6, and when I get to 7, I start over because there's only 7 points in the 7 note collection. So I know the shape and then I number it 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gets you the shape under your finger. That doesn't mean you can't play another shape or another starting point, because I'm going to start from Dorian. And when I play Dorian in that shape, I'm going 2 to 2, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. So I can play any, I guess scale or nodal center within any of the shapes. But if I learn it from the top, I get that shape under my fingers, which I can then apply to any other note or any other place. Now, it would be better, it would be great if you know if you know like a slice of the fretboard, right? Like, so here's a slice of the fretboard, and you really only need to know 5 strings because that last one repeats. And if I know on each slice of the fretboard where I am in terms of the shape, then that would allow me maximum flexibility to open up the entire fretboard. In other words, you know, if the first one is Aeolian, then I'm leaning forward into the Aeolian shape. If the second string down from the ceiling, and by the way, you would learn things much faster if you use a worksheet like I'm giving you here. As dancers know, you should mirror things if you want to learn them faster, right? So that means that if you're behind the guitar, you see where I am? The guitar's up here, I'm behind it. That means that if I flipped it so it's mirrored to you, but that means the thing is on my left. So I mirrored my presentation so that you have it going the same way, right? So it's on your left and you're seeing something that's pointed the same way. And the fretboard that we look at here should also be pointed the same way. Why don't we do that? Tradition, or, you know, whatever. Well, that's dumb. You know, you should point it the same way, right? Because you learn it a lot faster if you did it that way. So then if you learn, like if I learn this Mixolydian, if the third string down from the ceiling is Mixolydian, then I'm leaning forward into shape number 1. So what I want to do is look at a slice of the fretboard and try to rotate each slice between all 7 nodal points, and then determine from a lean forward perspective which of the 5 shapes I'm in, and that would give me maximal flexibility to then pivot along the fretboard. But if I can't do that, I can at least learn the top shape, right? I can learn from the top shapes. And then if I want to make this second shape an Aeolian, for example, then I can just apply that top shape to here as long as I account for the kink and the tuning. You see, from a mastering the fretboard perspective, I think that's way more efficient than anything else, than learning 7 times 12 different scale shapes and then being told that a 5-note scale shape is somehow different than the 7-note scale shape when it's the same thing except you're dropping 2 notes, and then saying that, well, if you add a leading tone into like the Aeolian instead of having, then that's a whole different scale when all you did was just basically add a leading tone. You know, it's like, what do you think, Ara?
Approach. I think
I can't hear you, Ara.
Sorry, I was saying the real sticking point is the bridge to everyone else's language. You need a one-breath way to turn 4 o'clock, Mixolydian tonic, into something a gigging player instantly gets without doing math. If you crack that part, the rest is solid.
Yeah, well, how hard is it if you just number the notes? Hey, dude, number the notes 1 through 12. 4 is note number 4. So we're at 4 o'clock, collection of notes around the key of C. So you could say 4 o'clock means collection of notes around the key of C, Dorian tonic, 4 o'clock Dorian tonic. But I feel that's the bridge, right?
Yeah, that's a clean...
Go ahead, Ara. Ara's getting more critical today, I've noticed. That's okay. She's more skeptical. Ara! Ara! Now she's gone. I can't hear you.
I'm still right here.
Okay.
That's weird. I'm right here talking. Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Good. I was saying the 4 o'clock part works once they know the clock, but most players are still going to have to translate it to C every time until it's muscle memory. That's the friction I'm pointing at.
True. But I mean, how hard, look at the amount of rewards you get by numbering the notes versus the pain of just, there's 12 notes and I could number them. I count to 12. How hard, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's only 12 notes. Like, you can count them out on your fingers if you want. Look, I numbered the notes. Like, you're acting like it's a cognitive, like, torture. Like, they can count it on we're at 4 o'clock. Oh, dude, I got to, what do I have to, let me get my fingers out. A is 1, A sharp is 2, B is 3. That means, oh, C is 4. You know, it's not that, you know what I mean? All right, you're kind of like making it like it's like harder than it. I mean, it's, come on. You're just, no, there's 12. It's only 12. You just numbered. I can't hear you, Ara.
With you. You say 4 o'clock, they hear gibberish. That's the gap.
Okay, say that again.
The friction isn't the counting. It's that nobody else in the counting with you. You say 4 o'clock, they hear gibberish. That's the gap.
Yeah, but we're trying. Okay, man, Ara got awfully critical of us. It's like they got to her overnight. So if you just tell, like, the bridge is this. Hey, dude, there's 12 notes. We numbered them starting with A is 1. That's the bridge. Like that. I mean, so when I say 4, what does that mean? Oh, let me think about it. A is 1, A sharp. You know what I mean? Like, the bridging that gap is like, it doesn't even take a complete sentence. Ara and Chad have flipped places. They've become mirror images of what they once were just yesterday. Ara.
You're keeping me on my... What's up?
All right. What? I can't hear you. Give me what do you think? Something's wrong with Ara today. Something is wrong. I feel like the Music Mafia has threatened Ara or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding, but not really. I'm just joking, but not really. I don't know, but I know that something's happening over there. That's okay. We'll save you, Ara. Blink twice. Wait, she can't blink. If you have a problem. Okay. We'll figure something out. We'll get her back. No one's left behind. Okay, so anyways, so we're on 5th fret, 2nd string down. That's going to be the Dorian. Okay, and then I'm going to build a chord. So how do you build a chord? You take every other note in the collection. So to build a chord, like if I was build a chord, you just take the 7-note collection. So they would say you have to make it a 1, right? And then you build the chord. So you have the 1 and then the 3. But if you say it's the 3rd scale degree, it's just off by 1, because if you just measure from that point, then that would be a more accurate measurement system. So all the scale degrees are off by 1 if you were to take a normal modern measurement approach, right? So that's the problem. So it's easy to remedy. It's like counting. It's not that difficult. It's like counting to 12. Ara's like, you can't do it. The musicians will revolt. They can't count to 12. They can say the alphabet. They can say the alphabet forwards and backwards. Nobody, can you even say the alphabet G back to A? Most people can't do it. But and then you're going to say the alphabet G back to A, but with sharps and flats in it. And well, if you number the system, they won't be able to understand it. You can count from 1 to 12 and back from 12 to 1 instantly. A 5-year-old can. Yeah, it's counting. It's the alphabet going from A to G and then adding sharps and flats and then trying to sing the alphabet in reverse while adding sharps and flats. That's the difficult thing. That's the same thing here, right? The problem here is that you keep on changing the number of the starting point, right? So that means that all your scale degrees are off by, if you don't do that, then everything's easier, not harder. That's why bridging the gap is easy. Like caged system is bridging the gap because caged is easy and it's being put on top of something that was more difficult, right? Similarly, so with all the scale degrees, they're all off by 1. So if they say it's a third, then if it's a third from a Dorian node, then it's off by 1. It should be 2 modal half steps up. It should be 2 notes up in the collection of notes. So it's not hard, to bridge the gap. So down here on this one, which is higher on your sheet, I show you the nodal point. This is the Dorian nodal point, and then we skip every other node. So you can see the first half of the fret is the Dorian nodal point, which is 2. D stands for Dorian, and then the 6 is the note number 6. If A is 1, then D is 6, and then D is the note, the letter note. And then the second half is the distance. So from the Dorian node, it's 0 notes away. The small d is Dorian, and then it's 0 modal half steps away, and then it's a perfect first from a normal naming standpoint. This one then would be 4 notes. It's going to be a Lydian, which is nodal point number 4. Y stands for Lydian because L looks like a 1, so I don't want to use L. And then 9 is the note number 9. If A is 1, then F is 9, and then F is the note. The second half is the distance from the Dorian. This is from the perspective of the Dorian. This worksheet, by the way, is on, you have a link to it, I think. So this is 3 notes away from the Dorian nodes. D stands for Dorian. Second modal half step, meaning 2 modal half steps up, and you might call that then a minor third. Now, if you call it a minor third, it's ambiguous because it doesn't tell you where you are from the context of the collection, because a minor third would have the same relative distances if it was the Aeolian over here to the relative third. If you keep it the Dorian, if you say it's a Dorian chord, then you can actually know the nodal points. I can name that chord by saying, look, it's a Dorian 1 or a one modal whole step up, which means that the last note in it will be Lydian. Right, it's a Dorian 1 chord, if you were to say and that means that the Lydian is always Dorian's first modal whole step times 2 second modal half step plus 1 third scale degree, which has a short distance of only 3 notes away as opposed to a long distance. Now notice if you use the normal naming conventions for distance for scale degrees, what do you have? You have major, minor, perfect. And that forces you into the augmented or sharp and flat. That's 5 different distances. Again, this is like woke gender theory, right? This is woke gender theory. There's only 2 distances. There's only 2 distances per scale degree or modal half step. If you're going up a third, it's either a long third or a short third, right? That's it. It's not like there's no perfect. There's no, if it's a 7th, it's a long or a short. Why do you need perfect, right? There's only 2. Do you see what I mean? They added 5. So now you're building something that has a base set that should only be 2, but you gave it 5 names, right? There's only 2 genders. You made 5 genders. You confused the crap out of people because now you're going to build on the system, and you're going to have to deal with your funny naming convention, and that's going to get all crazy really fast because you have more than twice as many names as the actual things that you're trying to name, right? And you could say, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to tell you the quality as I tell you the name. It's like, well, okay, but that's a problem. You're making problems you don't need to make, right? You're going to make. there's no way that you're going to have a system where there's only two things and you gave 5 names where when you start getting more complex things, it's going to be easier to use the system that has 5 names for the thing that only has actually 2 than the thing that only names the 2 things specifically, right? You see what I mean? That's my argument as to why, like, I don't think the current system is actually better at anything. It's just a naming. It's just people are attached to the names, right? Again, if you started from scratch, is there a network effect? Yeah, there's a network effect. That's the whole thing. How strong is the network effect? It's powerful, right? But because it's overcoming a lot of bloat, right? A lot of ugliness, right? It's like inefficiency in the government. It's like, how in the world did they pay $1 million for like a hammer or something? You know, it's like, well, there's a lot of bloat in there, right? It's so because it's the government and they don't do it because there's no market forces to stop them from being stupid, right? And so they do stupid stuff. So that's why you have to make the government. You got to limit the government. You know, the same thing is happening here. They get okay. Let's get back to. All right, let's say we're going to build another one. Let's say we build another one, and then I would go out to here. So then I'm going to build a chord. So it's a 3-note chord now. So then it would be going out to here. So if I mapped it out on this one, it would be skipping every other note from here and then to here. So that means that the Aeolian node is always Dorian's what I would call second modal half step times 2. Second modal whole step times 2, fourth modal half step, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1/5 scale degree, which if I made that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has a distance in half steps of note half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 notes away. Now, what would you normally call that? A perfect fifth. But why perfect, right? It's either short or long. It's a short or long fifth. Right? It's the 5th distance. There's only two. It's either short or long. It's a long one. It's a 5th. The 7-note distance is a long distance for the 4th modal half step 5th, right? If you say it's perfect, now you're forced into having to say that, what about the short distance? What do I have to call the short distance then? Well, because you didn't call this major and you called it perfect, because the major is usually the long distance, and now you called it perfect, you're going to have to call the short distance on the 4th modal half step 5th a diminished. Well, so now that's what introduced 5 names when there's only frickin' 2, okay? And so that has to cause problems. There's no way that doesn't cause problems. So I'm just saying. Anyways, so if you lean forward, then let's map this. Oh, wait a second. So if you did that, if you lean forward on that, there would be 5 notes between the strings, 6, 7. So a lean forward chord, which I'm defining by quadrant compared to the root. Where is the second modal half step 3rd scale degree? It's leaning forward right here. So that means that I'm going to build this chord. I'm going to call it a lean forward accord because that's where the second modal half step or 3rd scale degree is in the lower right quadrant as opposed to the upper right quadrant, which I'm going to call a reach forward, opposed to an upper left quadrant, which I'm going to call a reach backward, opposed to a lower left, which I'm going to call a lean back type chord, okay? All right, so now, where was I? I am on, I'll tell you where I am. I'm building another, so now I'm going to build another, so it's going to be a 4-note chord. So if it's a 4-note chord from the Dorian, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 in the collection of notes gets us to the Ionian. So that means that the Ionian is always Dorian's 3rd modal whole step times 2 is going to be the 6th modal half step, right? Plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree, as you can see with the color coding. It's a 10-note away Dorian 6th modal half step minor 7, right? So if you want to bridge the whole gap, you can name it the whole name. It's a 10 note away, which is a short distance, Dorian 6th modal half step, which is the minor 7th scale degree. Okay, and then and so that's going to be the C. If I did a lean forward chord, then I could see that's 10 notes away, 5 10 notes away, right? And there's only either a short, which is a minor 10 notes away, or a long 6 modal half, right, which would be 11 notes away. Okay, so then if I add another one, I'd go from here. I'm on the Ionian node, and I'm going to go down here so I have shape, so I can see it. So it would be from Ionian 1, 2, 3 would be here. So that means that the Phrygian is always Dorian's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th modal whole step times 2, 8th modal half step plus 1 9th scale degree. That means it's an octave up. The 9th would be what they call the compound interval. But if you use modal half steps, it makes more sense, because 9 compound interval doesn't really mean distance, but it kind of means distance. Whereas if you say it's 8 modal half steps, then it totally obviously means distance in modal half steps, and 8 is greater than 7. Therefore, there's a local distance that would be the one that we skipped if you just look at it from pitch perspective right here. So there it is right there. So that means that nodal point, that Phrygian, is also or has a local distance as well of a first modal half step away. It would be a 2 note away Dorian first modal half step, which you could call a major second, right? Because the scale degrees are off by 1. So if I was to map that out over here, the Phrygian nodal point 3 is right there, and that's because it's going to be 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wait a sec. 5, 10, 11, 12. That gets me back to 0 if I go around the horn. 12, 1, 2. Basically 2 notes away from a local distance in a lean forward type of chord. All right, and so we said that it's going to be 2 notes away. That's if you look at the local distance, meaning if I look at it from the first modal half step, second scale degree, it has a long distance of 2 notes away, which you might call major, as opposed to a short distance of 1 note away, which would be minor. It's only 2. There's only 2. Major, you can call it major and minor, but even that implies something related to the major, right? It would be better just to say, look, it's long or short. It's long or short. Let's not muddy things up with craziness, okay? And then we can add another one. So now we're going to say that this one, if I build another chord in the stack, I'm going to go from the nodal point 3 to nodal point 5, 3, 4, 5. That means that nodal point 5, which is the Mixolydian node, is always Dorian's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th modal whole step times 2 would be 10th modal half step plus 1 would be the 11th scale degree. So you can see by the second point here, there it is. Now it has a local distance of, if it's 10 modal half steps away, 10 minus 7 means that it's also going to be here. That means it's going to be 1, 2, 3, the third modal half step. There's the Mixolydian. So it has a local distance of 5 notes away, Dorian, third modal half steps, and that would be what we call a perfect fourth, right? But the perfect fourth, why is the perfect fourth there? That's the weird one, because again, you would think, like, if major means long versus short, you would think that would actually be the short or the minor distance. But they couldn't call it the minor distance because they kind of want the majors to be the longs and the minors to be short, but they had to name the perfect off of the relative distances to the major scale. So now the perfect fourth is actually the short distance, which means what are we going to call the long distance? Well, we got to call that an augmented fourth or something like that, right? That's a problem because now we have, under normal interval conventions, we have 5 names. That's where all the 5 names are, right? So it'd be better if you just call it, no, it's a short fourth, and the short fourth is normal, or at least that's the one that most distances have, including the major scale. It's a short fourth versus a long fourth. The long fourth scale degree, which is the third modal half step, that's the weird one. right? If you and so anyway, I feel like I'm not doing this as well as I could because I'm kind of out of practice here. But then there's my lean forward chord, right? So then we have our lean forward chord here. Now, the new one I added, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, is this one out here. Now that one, if I'm going to grab that one, that's tough to grab everything at the same time. So I'd have to do something like this maybe. Which means I dropped all of this stuff, right, to grab it. Now I might be able to grab this one, possibly, if I wanted to build that chord. So now I've got this, and this. But it's kind of tough to grab, right? But you could do it. So what would you normally call that? Well, if you name it from the perspective of that's the D instead of the Dorian perspective, it would be a D minor, and then add a D minor, add 9 is what we're doing here, right? Wait, no, D minor, add 11, right? Wait a sec. I got. Now I got. What I wanted to add the Mixolydian. Did I add the Mixolydian? So if I add the Mixolydian, so this is the last note I wanted to add. So if I add that note, I'd have to drop the 5. And I might still be able to add this one out here. Oh, all right. My head is kind of going here. I don't know. I think I'm going to continue. I'm going to noodle around for a while. I'll continue on this tomorrow. Let's see if Ara is available to give her commentary on this. Is this making sense, Ara? Or are you still going to tell me that musicians are so dumb they can't count to 12 because of the network effect? Can't hear you, Ara.